Hey there, Statureman with Statureman Custom Holsters. Say, I do get questions occasionally on how to do the bends on a Kydex holster. Kind of developed a process here that's worked for me. It's fast and solves some of the common issues that are typically a problem when doing the bend on a pancake style or a concealment style holster. So I thought I'd show you a couple of the things that can make the process easier for you and in your DIY type projects, or if you're just starting out making your own Kydex as a hobby or a small business. This will certainly save you some time and some frustration. So one of the things that I created early on for my Kydex is actually took an old, I think in this case it's an old Stanley vise, and I kind of think I got it for $10 on Craigslist. And what I did is I took a piece of aluminum, I bought it at Home Depot, and cut it. And the old vise had, I think most vise clamps are like that, table-mounted vise clamps, to give you the ability to put different teeth on them. I'm not quite sure, just kind of take a look at what you've got. If you wanted to go this route, you can certainly go this way. Otherwise, a lot of guys will just take a clamp and use a second piece of wood on their work table or something to do what I'm about to show you. But this will definitely help you guys out, if you did want to create something similar to this. And I'll show you basically what I do here for heating this up on an old Kydex project. So a couple of keys when you are doing your bends in your Kydex. And just note here that one of the issues I do have with this little vise clamp, and this works, I'd use a lot of stuff for it. I covered this with tape so that it wouldn't do much, and I just got an old garbage project here. I think this is a repress from something that I did, but it does have, the sides are still straight, essentially unadulterated, but if you pinch the ends, you get this kind of issue, and this is, I think, pretty common for vise clamps, especially that are loose. So I just put a little piece of wood down there. But if you did have a table, you could certainly just put a block of wood right here. The first key is to get the rivet area covered up, because you don't want to heat the rivet, and most of it is about controlling the heat. So what I do is just clamp here and just make sure that I'm below the eyelets, and this can get kind of goofy. Again, if you use a table or something like that. Let's check my frame here a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. And notice that I do have the blue gun inside of the holster. This is pretty key. Now, if you're using the actual gun, you need to be aware that the heat will be potentially an issue. And so what you're going to want to do is make sure that you keep the heat off the polymer portions of the gun as much as possible. Now, there's lots of guys out there that will make Kydex holsters on the actual guns, run them through the process, run the heat all the way up to 350, and you do need to be aware that if you do have a polymer frame, other issues I've seen is with wooden finishes with lacquer on them or something. The lacquer can come off too. So everybody knows, you can use a heat gun for these, and most guys, you can get these things for anywhere from $30 to $10. I think I got mine from Harbor Freight on sale, and blast the heat into the Kydex to make the bend. Now, this is round. You can get attachments that will straighten that'll put a little square edge on the end of this, and those are going to get you most of the way there. But really, the key is, and if you're ready for this, just a wooden block. And as you can see on here, there's a very high quality description of heat shield. And this is really basic idea in that if we can keep the heat off of the eyelets and direct the heat. Now, there are very expensive ways to do this, right? You could get a strip heater. They're a lot of money. And if you're just kind of a low volume DIY sort of Kydex guy, probably not going to have a return on investment for you. But what you can do here is just hold this up, and the keys for working Kydex with a heat gun remain the same. Now, there's 3 rivets on this, but this would be true of a longer or shorter. Basically, what I do is just using the heat shield does 2 things. One, it keeps the heat off of the retention areas of the gun. You lose that Kydex click if you get the middle areas too hot. As well, But what can happen is that you can gloss the material. If you sit in one spot, highly likely to gloss the material, and you want to introduce the heat slowly. Now, as you're learning, when I first started doing this, and I'm actually probably going slower than I would on a regular holster here, but I just wanted to describe how I'm doing this. And what this is going to do is it's going to direct the heat, so it's a more concentrated source of heat. And then just you can see just now that it's kind of bouncing. At this point, what I would do is just move back and forth. You can see that it's moving a little bit here, and it's probably hot enough to do the bend. And I just check wherever my heat shield is, and you can just take it with your fingers and bend it right over to your desired angle. Hopefully I'm in frame, yep. And it'll just take a couple of seconds here. Some guys will tape it, some guys will hold it, it's up to you. And it doesn't really take that long to get this locked in place when you do that method. Notice we have generally a nice kind of straight line right there, and it kind of depends on if you want to go for a super straight line or not. Again, the keys to this one are keep it in the blue gun or the regular gun. Be careful, watch the heat on the frame. And if you do set up something like this, I think this maybe cost me $20 and a couple of hours of drilling to reset this. It can be a little goofy to get the size correct on here. Like I said, just as easily you can do a clamp, and it helps if I don't drop stuff. And really just get in. Same thing on both sides. Work the heat into the gun. I'll try to do this one as fast as I can without glossing the material. If you go too quickly, or if you don't move the gun fast enough, or the heat gun fast enough, you will gloss the material, and it looks pretty nasty, in fact, when the material gets glossed. The other thing to keep aware of if you did make a jig like this out of aluminum is that the aluminum will get hot and can translate the heat into the eyelets. So if you're doing one after the other, that can potentially be an issue. And really that's all it takes to do a bend. One thing I should note real quickly is the reason I say leave the blue gun inside of the holster is that when you do your bends, if you do it without the gun in the holster, what can happen is when you bend the material, rather than bending right at the point that it heated, it can stretch the material down and pull it together unnecessarily, because the outside piece, rather than bending, is going to pull over, and that'll obviously tighten the area between the two pieces. And when you go to put the gun in, you now have an issue that you have to go back in and relieve that area back out in order to get the fit right. So you can heat it up if it's a concern. If you have a real gun, you can heat it up and then put the actual gun in and then do the bend. Keep in mind though, when you do that, it's going to bend the material right here and loosen those two parts up when you put the gun in. So if you do that and that's a concern for you, make sure to squeeze back together at the trigger guard area in front of the trigger guard. Hold those two pieces together in order to do your bend. So, hope that helps. I'm Statureman with Statureman Custom Holsters. See you later.